Well, this news surprises absolutely no one, at least no one with common sense. Star Wars The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson admits he didn't care about Star Wars canon and history. That is surprising to no one. If you've seen The Last Jedi, it's pretty obvious to you that Rian Johnson did not care about any of these things. This is from Bounding Into Comics. My good friend John F. Trent is covering it. Star Wars The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson admitted he didn't care about Star Wars canon in a recent interview discussing Johnson's Knives Out film. Johnson was asked by The Hollywood Reporter, whenever you are writing, let's say you are creating your own universe, you said you don't think about actors. You are starting something from scratch. How is that approach versus something when you have a pre-existing universe? If you are writing characters for Star Wars, you have this universe, you have characters that everybody knows, and then you are doing something from scratch. Did you find your approach different from that? Johnson would respond, no, not at all, because I don't really think in terms of universes or terms of creating worlds or whatever. That's not interesting to me. He continued, the only thing that is interesting to me is story. And the story specific to, like, whether you are writing a Star Wars film that's part of a 3-movie trilogy or a quote-unquote original thing like Knives Out. You are still telling a story that is new to the thing that you are doing, that it has to work within the context of that movie. Johnson added, to me, the notion that what's the entire galaxy or world that you are creating or something, I can't imagine getting excited about creating that. To me, I'm excited about creating a 2-hour-long experience for an audience to have in the theater. And that means how they engage moment to moment with the story and the characters that are on screen. And that doesn't change either one of those. What are you talking about? The answer is not really shocking given the product that we saw in The Last Jedi. The movie threw away and completely ignored characterizations and story moments from The Force Awakens. The opening scene in the film was probably the biggest example. General Hux, played by Domhnall Gleeson, is turning into a complete and utter buffoon as he gets prank called by Poe Dameron. This is stark contrast to not only the opening crawl of The Last Jedi that reads, the First Order reigns, having decimated the peaceful Republic. Supreme Leader Snoke now deploys his merciless legions to seize military control of the galaxy. It continues, but the Resistance has been exposed. As the First Order speeds towards Rebel base, the brave heroes mount a desperate escape. It literally describes Hux and the First Order as merciless legions, but what we get is a bumbling buffoon who falls for a prank phone call and delays killing Poe Dameron. That's pretty much the opposite of merciless. If Hux were indeed merciless, he would have blasted Poe Dameron out of the sky without even communicating with him. It also notes that the First Order decimated the Republic. Who gave that order? General Hux in The Force Awakens. Here's a refresher, and we all remember that speech by Hux. And then it just kind of goes into everything that he changed, and it even goes back to, like I said, Rian Johnson, looked at the Kylo Ren scar, and he just changed it. And then when he was confronted about it, what did he do? He then acted like he didn't change it. And then people showed him pictures lining up side by side showing that he did in fact change the scar on Kylo Ren from The Force Awakens to The Last Jedi, and then he admitted it after he was called out on it, after he lied about it. Now, Rian Johnson and all of his defenders out there have said, oh, Rian totally respected The Force Awakens. He totally respected the lore, because that was the big criticism, was that people said this really had nothing to do with The Force Awakens. And it really just kind of moves away from Star Wars canon as a whole. And no, Rian respected the source material. He's literally admitting to you that he does not care about any pre-existing characters, universes, canon, or anything. He doesn't care. He just admitted it. So we were right the whole time. The whole time we were right, like we always are. And Rian Johnson and his fangirls out there once again get exposed for the weirdo people that they are. They don't pay attention to anything. Again, if you like Rian Johnson's garbage movie, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with you liking the movie. Don't tell me that it was not terrible for Star Wars. It's much like how I talk about other movies. Like, for instance, I like X-Men Origins Wolverine. It's terrible, though. It's terrible. It's terrible to the lore. It's terrible to Deadpool. It destroys Deadpool. It's not even Deadpool in that movie, but I don't like Deadpool, so it doesn't bother me. But I can still admit that it's terrible, and I understand why people viciously hate that movie. Doesn't mean I do, but I understand why others hate it. I enjoy that movie. There's a lot of people out there that claim they love The Last Jedi. That's perfectly cool. It's okay if you like it. Just don't tell people that it didn't destroy the lore. That's the problem here. That is the problem. It moves away from everything that Star Wars was, that Luke Skywalker was. It ignores The Force Awakens, and Rian Johnson point blank admits that here. You have nothing left to defend. Everything that we have called the Disney trilogy out for being has been exposed. The Rise of Skywalker was trash. The Palpatine nonsense, it was a complete joke, and now they're retconning that. They've retconned the Reylo nonsense. They have no idea what they're doing. So thank you, Rian Johnson, for admitting this. Shout out to Bounding Into Comics for covering this. And if anybody is still out there defending The Last Jedi, that's your problem, not mine. You guys have a great day. Thank you very much for checking out this video. Solo lost money. Reylos are weird. Rian Johnson has a round head, and we will talk to you later.